The following story has been brought to you by StoriesToInspire.org.
I think it was last week or maybe 2 weeks ago. After the class, there was a man who was waiting for me. People do that sometimes. They try to find a rabbi, so they hunt them down. Okay? So this man runs an orphanage in Israel, and he wanted me to see about it. I'm going to come to you after your Wednesday class. I really can't escape. So he was there. Thank you. He says, I want to tell you a little story. He says, talking to me about it, if you ever go into Israel, I want you to come and visit us and see what it's like and see the thing. And we have hundreds of girls, like 400 girls in this orphanage. And he starts telling me the stories of their parents, and it's like horrific. You know, parents that were killed in terror attacks. He showed me this video. I mean, it was hard to see. A video of a father who was sick and clearly wasn't going to be making it. His wife had already passed away a bunch of years earlier. You see him walking into the orphanage. It's like he's showing you the video from the camera in the school. And you see the father walking into the orphanage with like a muzzle on his mouth because he has germs. And he's bringing the suitcases and he's dropping off his two daughters. And he tells me, 3 weeks later, these children had no parents. And he's telling me one story after another after another. And I'm like, whoa, okay, I hear. And he says, let me tell you this one story that once happened. He says, I was once in London. I think it was London. And I may have forgot a detail or two, but this is the story. He says, I was in London, and I was meeting with this wealthy person. And this person starts yelling at me. He says, you're making up stories. You're one of those rabbis who comes to Israel, makes up a whole thing about pictures and stuff like that. And the school probably doesn't even exist. It's probably all made up. Your whole thing, orphanage. No one does this today. No such thing as orphanages today. Jewish girls are not going to orphanages. I don't know what you're talking about. It's a joke. Please leave. He says, I'm like, no, it's real. I'm telling you, there's 400 girls that are in this orphanage. He says, the man told me, just leave. So I left. Happened to be that year, on right before Rosh Hashanah, I was walking through the streets of Israel, and I see this wealthy man from London. And I go over to him and I tell him, I just want you to know, I don't forgive you for what you told me. He says, well, you can't say that. He says, no, it's not me. It's on behalf of the 400 girls that I'm taking care of. They don't forgive you. The wealthy man says, you can't say that. He says, yes, I can. I don't forgive you. He says, I'll forgive you when you come and visit. He says, I can't come and visit. He says, okay, so then I don't forgive you. The man says, what do you want me to do? I'm flying out of Israel tomorrow. I'm sorry, I can't come. He says, I hear you. I'm just telling you, the girls don't forgive you. He's telling me the story. And he leaves. That night, at 1 a.m., he gets a phone call from this man. He says, I'm leaving tomorrow morning. I felt too guilty. Rosh Hashanah, Yom Kippur is coming. You said you don't forgive me. The girls don't forgive me. I have to come see you. Can I come now? He says, come now? It's 1 a.m. He says, I know. Can I come now? He says, I can't show you girls sleeping in their rooms at 1 a.m. Like, what do you... He says, please just let me come now. He says, okay, fine. I'll figure it out. He comes there. He says, I'll show you like the little girls, the little, 3-4-year-old girls. They're sleeping innocently. So he brings them to one room, he brings the man to one room, another room, and in the meantime he sees like these older girls running up and down the steps. He says, it's 1:45 in the morning, what are these girls doing? He says, these are the older girls are the ones that take care of the younger ones. You have to understand, these little girls don't have mommies and don't have daddies. So these girls are running up and down the stairs. They have to make sure, because if one girl cries, they have to be careful, because then another one's going to cry, another one's going to cry, and it could cause a chain reaction of crying in the whole building. So they have to control it and be on top of it right away. The man says, I never saw anything like this before in my life. He says, this building I'm in right now, that you guys are in, this is an old building. I want you to find out how much it's going to cost to redo the building. The rabbi found out. The man said, I'm going to wire you $750,000. You're going to remake this building for these girls. And then they did it. And the man, within 15 minutes, wired the money. They made a big dinner. And this man from London got up and he says, I made fun of this school. And now I see really what they're doing. And he says, let me tell you why I made fun. He says, because when I was a little kid, my parents passed away. And I didn't get any love and care as an orphan. So I didn't think that it's possible that there's any place on earth where they do love and care girls like this. When I saw it, I had to support it.
Enjoyed this story? Come again. Bring a friend. StoriesToInspire.org